Hey guys, how's it going? This is Matt with University Academy. I'm going to be making a deck profile video for you today. In particular, we're going to be going over my midnight deck list that I ran at the most recent RLE down in Orlando. Finished in the top 32, around 23 or so. Went 6-2 on the day. Had a great day, super fun deck. If you didn't get to check it out on stream, I figured we would check it out here and give you the breakdown and kind of go through everything about the deck. And then let me know your thoughts and your questions or anything you might want to know more about down in the comments below. But let's jump into it. All right, so let's start with the character. So we played Midnight, and then for those of you who are not familiar, Midnight is 628. She has all Chaos and Void. She has an Enhanced Commit. Discard any number of cards and draw one card for each card discarded. So she gets to kind of go and filter her hand as long as she sees an attack. You see one attack, play it, commit her, discard those other 5 non-attack cards, dig for some more attacks. Or let's say maybe you just got a handful of attacks you need to build. You're like, I can't push in this turn. I'll play this one attack, kind of poke, and then I'm going to pitch out my hand and try to get some foundation so I can, play some defense. And that leads into her second ability. Her second ability is Enhance, Commit 1 Foundation. This attack gets +1 or -1 speed for each of its keywords, playable while committed. So that means that even when you've used her first ability, you can continue to commit foundations to add or take away speed. It's awesome, super great. It's the reason I wanted to build the deck because I feel like right now in the set 2 meta, there are a whole lot of attacks that have a ton of keywords. 3 is a really average number of keywords that a lot of these attacks people are running. Back Alley Haymaker has 4, and it's only 4 speed. So with Midnight, you can tap 1 and block it on a 0. You don't get hit by those unless you want to. So yeah, she's super cool. In particular, we'll get into the attacks here in just a moment. And with the attacks, we actually went with trying to optimize our number of keywords as well to really take advantage of that speed addition that she can add. All right, so for the attacks, like I was saying, we went with attacks that had at least 3 keywords, because that means we can tap a foundation and add 3 speed to them. So for starters, we got Ice Storm. We ran Ice Storm at a 4x. This card is incredible. If you're not aware, Ice Storm is a 4 for 4 with 3 keywords, Breaker 2 being one of those, and it's a +2 mid block. So this thing is an amazing block. Really disruptive, goes a long way in those early turns for taking your rival off of their aggression. It also has powerful 3 on it, which you normally get momentum when most of your attacks come across for at least 6 speed. People don't want to block them, and if they do block them, they're not blocking a lot of them. So you'll get some momentum in the deck. Had many a game where I was able to use the powerful with a couple momentum to close it out as a 7 speed low doing 10. And then it also has the ability that it can't be blocked by attack cards. This is really good against Fourth Kind. Fourth Kind wants to pull back that attack to block with and all. You're like, yeah, dog, you can't block with that. Good luck. So we 4x Ice Storm. Next, we got Electric Jolt, also at a 4x. Card is just too good. It is too good. Had to get out those RLE 1 ones. Had to get a set of those. Because this card is just too good. Stun 1, EX2, and charge. Again, 3 keywords. Comes across as a 6 speed doing 4 sometimes. You don't normally want to pump the speed on this, but you can. Definitely had games where I had to pump speed using the EX and Midnight to kind of push through and get a win. But like Electric Jolt, it's the best turn 2 poke in the game. Like you just play this thing and you're like, all right, go ahead. You gonna block it, take 1. Okay, it's in my momentum now. Now on your turn 2, when you try to push in, I'm going to be disruptive. I'm going to tap down some things. And that's actually kind of the overarching goal of the attack lineup, is to really tap down all of your rival's resources using stun and other abilities. So that way you can kind of set up a turn where you can actually get a kill. After that, we have Double Jab Pummel. Double Jab Pummel, also an insane card. It is Value Town the card. Has a 4 diff, 3 mid doing 5, but it's got those 3 keywords, so it's really a 6 mid doing 5 if we wanted to be. But it also combos off of charge. Well, every attack in the deck except for Ice Storm is a charge. So I actually went up. I was running 3 of these when I played in Origins. We went up to 4. It's just too good. No regrets about that decision. It worked out every time. If you watch the game on stream, I played 3 of these in one turn, and it was like turn 2. And that's because of this combo enhance that goes and says, if this tech is blocked, you draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards, and your next check to play a card gets +2. Well, the check gets +2 no matter what. So you play one of these on a 5, because if you combo it, there's got to be a charge in front of it, right? So maybe you electric jolt into a double jab pummel, and you combo it. Well, now you're ignoring progressive. So that next card's just played on whatever its printed is. So it really lets you extend further into turns. It also has a deadlock enhance that's not nothing, and it gives your next check to play a card +5. Had multiple games where my rival built into deadlock, and my next check got +7, and I would check like a 12. You just can't fail cards at that point, and you're not tapping anything to pass them, which goes a long way for making Midnight more viable, because she does want to tap down your own resources to kind of push through damage, and if you don't get there, then you're going to end up not having what you need. So all these cards so far try to set up our kill condition, which is Indiscriminate Shock, 1.3 million volts. This card is insane. It's the reason we built the deck. It's got 3 keywords, +3 speed on a card that's insane. Seems good. It gets +1 damage for each committed rival foundation. Well, as you can tell, and like we've been talking about, we're running stun, and we're also adding all these speed. So if you add speed to, say, one of these earlier attacks, then your rival tries to block it. They're going to commit some things. Then you have stun, so you can tap down things. This also lets you tap down another thing. And our foundation base goes further and trying to help us commit out their board. So what ends up happening a lot of times is you end up playing an indiscriminate, and it gets +15 damage sometimes. I mean, +7 is really, really common. So then this thing swinging across as a 6 speed for 12, like that's gonna get you where you need to be. You play 2 of these, that's game, pack it up. Indiscriminate's insane. Totally, like I said, the reason we built the deck. And that leads to our final attack, which is Pillar Swing at a 3x. We 3x it because you never want to get a hand that has really like 2 pillar swings in it. It doesn't feel great because it is a 6 diff. But it has 4 keywords on it. That's right, 4. So with Midnight, this becomes a 7-speed mid doing 8. 7-speed mid doing 8. That's insane. It also stuns 2 as one of those keywords. So really, it's like a 9-speed mid doing 8. So it's not uncommon, to kind of combo these. You maybe electric jolt into a pummel, into a pillar swing. You need a 6 for it. All right, the stun 1. You might have filtered some, and then if they completely block your pillar swing, which they're probably not, but they might, then it goes to your momentum. So you can do some really cool plays there as well, where maybe you're trying to bait your rival into blocking it, so you can get some momentum during the turn to set up something else later on. Maybe that Ice Storm with Powerful, or that EX on Electric Jolt, or for pay some of the cost of the other cards in the deck as well. So yeah, this is the attack lineup. Like I said, it's all about just committing out their board and really trying to extend further into your turns and throw big chunky damage that they just can't deal with. All right, moving right along. Next, we're going to talk about the actions in the deck. And we only have one action, and that is Plus Ultra. And we run it at 3x. Plus Ultra, this card's just, it's awesome. It is a little counterproductive defensively. Like you don't ever want to use Midnight to reduce speed and then block with a Plus Ultra. That doesn't really get you anywhere. But you can go and use this instead of Midnight, right? Maybe earlier you're like, oh, I'm just going to block this on a 5. Boom. Then later I'm going to use Midnight, reduce some speed. Then I'm going to Ice Storm block. It's really here, not just for the block, like that's great, but for the kill potential. With its enhance to let you discard a momentum to then double an attack speed or damage. It is a first enhance, so you have to be careful and kind of play around that. But again, with those indiscriminates or with those pillar swing coming across as a 7 speed doing 16, they're going to block that, if they got to. If you do it on an indiscriminate, then you double it to 10, and then you get +1 for their entire for every foundation that they have tapped and committed. So again, this really enables you to get to some really large numbers offensively with pretty little investment as well. So you kind of have to play around and figure out when you do or don't want to play it, and how you do or don't want to use it. Like you wouldn't want to use this immediately after, say, using a double jab pummel to get +2 your next check, and then eat it up playing their Plus Ultra. That would feel pretty bad. But with a little bit of practice, just make sure to kind of be aware of those. You'll avoid those situations. But yeah, Plus Ultra 3x. Didn't put any others in the deck. Never tried it at 4. 3 felt like the right number. All right, so now we're going to jump into the bigger, beefier meat of the deck, which is the foundation base, making sure that we have everything we need to really secure these wins. So we're going to start with our zeros. We have 2 releases. Release is just a great defensive piece. 0-4 plus 2 high block, all good stuff. The 4 kind of hurts, but at the same time, it's a 0 diff. And it gives you an outlet to destroy your foundations on defense. So it feels really good when you can go and you tap 1 for Midnight's ability to reduce speed, and then you destroy it for another +2. So let's say it had 3 keywords, like -3 speed, and then you destroy it for +2. That's +5 effectively to your check to block that card. So if you really want to block something, you're going to block it. So releases at a 2x. Followed by Requesting Assistance at a 4x. Requesting Assistance is just an awesome card. On a flip, on a 0-5, with a +2 mid block to flip and ready something, as long as you have a momentum. Again, this lets you do some really crazy stuff with some of the other foundations in the deck to really play some aggressive turns. Helps mitigate that cost of committing things for Midnight as well. Get extra uses out of stuff. Like, there's just all sorts of cool plays you can make with Requesting Assistance. I would always recommend 4x and get in a deck. And our last 0 diff is Stronger in Darkness. So as much as Indiscriminate was the reason that I wanted to build the deck offensively with the attacks, Stronger in Darkness was the reason I wanted to build the deck off Chaos for the foundation base, because yeah, this card's just awesome. Free Enhance, that as long as your character's committed, your attack gets +1 damage. Okay, I'm going to commit my character to either filter my hand or to add speed, and then I'm going to add all the free damage in the world. So your attacks can get really big when you get multiple of these in play. So we want to run 4 of those, see it as often as possible. Next, we got our 1 diffs. And the first one is Struggling with Studies. So Struggling with Studies, easily the one foundation I've been the most excited about for set 2. This foundation is awesome. It's a 1-5 or a +3 low. It lets you go and enhance flip to add one of your blocks, most likely, but a card from your card pool back to your hand on defense. So it's only playable if it's your rival's 3rd or greater attack that turn. But here's the thing, most decks aren't going to be able to kill you in like 2 hits because you're just going to be blocking. So they're going to push further into turns. So you can sometimes get to live the dream of you lead with an Ice Storm block. Maybe you let them hit you the first attack, then you Ice Storm block the second one. They're playing with +4 effectively to their 3rd attack. They play it anyway because they got to push in that turn. Then you just flip one of these, you pick up that Ice Storm. Feels real good. Definitely have won many a game by using Struggling with Study, picking up a block, and then just playing that same block again and forcing my rival to deal with it. So would recommend at a 4x. No regrets there either. Great block, everything. And then Clever Distraction. I'm running 3 Clever Distractions. This is one that I kind of went back and forth on a lot while testing. Took it out all the way at one point, and we put it back in. In particular, the deck needed some mid blocks, and this card is very it's very useful defensively, right? So it lets you go and flip to give a high or low attack -2 speed. Well, let's say we give it -2 on Clever Distractions Enhance, and then we just tap that face down that is Clever Distraction now for another -2 or 3 speed. So this one foundation gave -5. Like, you net 4 in that situation because you only tapped 1. Like, that's value. So we ended up going back up to 3, and it felt good. Didn't need a 4th one all the time, but that's because we added in 1x of Precise Control to finish out our spam foundations. And that's because Chaos doesn't draw cards, really. So sometimes you just need one more block, and Precise Control is this weird way of kind of drawing a card, right? You just pick it up from your stage and have a terrible +3 mid block with Breaker 1 at least. But with Midnight, the block's a little less terrible. And sometimes, like I said, you just need a card. It doesn't necessarily matter which card. All right, so that's all of our spam foundations. So let's move on to the 2 and 3 diff foundations. First, we got Shock Treatment at a 2x. Shock Treatment is a unique foundation, and lets us on our turn. It just gives us another way to kind of tap down our rival's board by pitching a momentum, and it's targeted committal. So you can just kind of snipe those things that are the actual key problems and not have to play a whole bunch of stun or whatever and wait for your rival to actually commit them. It also lets you destroy it to commit one rival foundation on defense if you need to, or on offense. So after you've emptied out all your momentum, it pops for one more. So it plays really well into the commit out their board strategy, but it is a unique, so we just 2x'd it. Next, we have probably the best, if not one of the best foundations in the deck, which is Frozen. Frozen is a 2/5 with +2 high block, and it's only playable on your turn, but it's enhanced, lets you destroy a foundation, and then your rival commits a foundation. So again, this is kind of like Release, but on offense, right? So on defense, Release let us destroy our foundations to add to our block mods so we could survive. Well, Frozen gives us a way to use these foundations we're committing to add speed with Midnight. So we'll add 3 speed to our attack, because it's always going to be 3, because, well, at least 3. Pillar Swing's 4. And then we destroy this to effectively add 1 more speed, but it's for the turn because they have to commit a card. So if you start this early, and you just kind of tap down your things, you have to be careful. You don't want to overextend too far and then whiff, because then you're just going to die on the backswing because everything's committed and you didn't kill them. But at 3, you're going to more likely see this in most games. And I definitely had games where I would aggressively try to make sure that by turn 2 I had one of these in play, because most of the time Midnight wants to kind of go for that kill post turn 3. Like turn 2 is very difficult with her. It can happen, but pretty difficult. Next, we have Irrefutable Force of Nature at 3. Irrefutable it's just a good card. I mean, it just target seals an earth, fire, or water card, foundation or asset, for a commit. So you just tap it and you just seal something. This is a great target for requesting assistance. So there's definitely matchups where it's like, oh, hey, I'm going to seal your Creepy Realization. Then I'm going to raid this. I'm going to seal the other one also, on my next attack or whatever it may be. It also just lets you go and remove it to seal any one foundation or asset. So that's even better, right? Like, so even if they aren't playing those symbols, I will say this is a card that normally gets sided out if they're not playing those symbols. And maybe I don't need the low blocks. It's definitely on that short list of foundations that I start to look at when I'm trying to make board decisions, but we'll talk about the board here in a minute. Next, we have First Day of Class at 4. So First Day of Class is a cool card, but it's a weird card. You don't normally like seeing more than one of them. Like 1 is awesome. You just commit it on your first attack. Your next check is +2. Feels real good. Then if you need to, you can response flip it. Because as long as it's committed during the enhanced step, then you can response to flip it and ready it. So what's cool about this is, like with Midnight, you can actually go and you can just use your First Aid classes on defense. You can tap them, and then if you still need that extra foundation to help you pass that block, you just respond, flip, ready them, because you're committing it during the enhanced step. It's also like the only piece of stun hate that Chaos currently has. So like you can tap one of these because it gets tapped during the enhanced step. You can response, flip to ready it. Had to do that in a few games. So like this card's really sneaky good in this deck. And that's why we 4x it. A lot of other lists I'd only put like 2 or 3 in, but in Midnight she gets enough value out of it, so we kept it at 4. Next we have Confused at 3. So Confused is awesome. This card is just so good against so many matchups. You go in, and there's a lot of decks right now that want to run kind of one keyword as their focal point, and this just helps deal with that. I played a Chaos Mirror matchup at one point. I had to start removing charge because it was Uraraka, and I removed charge from their low attack, and they can't pull it down to momentum. Like there's lots of really cool things you can do with Confused. It also removes the card from their discard pile, so you can use that to target snipe against characters like Momo or other things like that want to recur things from their discard pile. I could see going up to 4, and for a while I had some extra copies in my board and things like that, and tried out 4. 3 is where I landed, but I could definitely see going up to 4, depending on what your meta ends up looking like. And our final foundation is Award the Victors at a 2x. So Award the Victor is a 3/5 with a +1 high block, which is crazy awesome stats. It is unique, so that's why we're only running 2, similar to Shock Treatment. But it's response flip, and after your attack deals damage, add to the top of your deck. Your next check to play an attack gets +2. So this card's really cool in this deck. So let's say you go and someone eats your double jab pummel because they don't want to block that, because then you get to draw 2 and pitch 2. You're like, cool, I'm going to already use this enhance to give my next check +2. I'm going to award the victor. I'm going to put this double jab pummel on top of my deck and give my next check +2 to play an attack. So now my next check to play an attack is +4. And I know I have a 3 on top, so I know I'm checking a 7. Cool. Guess what I need to play this Pillar Swing? A 7. Auto passes. like there's just some really cool lines that this card enables in this deck. So we put it in at 2x. I could see maybe going up to 3. It just depends on I guess how badly you want it and how aggressive you want to be in the early game. But 2 is where I landed and was really pleased with that. Definitely won me a couple games as well. So yeah, overall, pretty good low, high, and mid block spread. Like I said earlier, we added in the extra clever distractions to make sure we had enough mid blocks because we were pretty light on those. Somehow I ended up with more high and lows, which is not common, but yeah. All right, guys, and this brings us towards the end of our video. We're going to talk about our sideboard. So the sideboard is something that I kind of went back and forth on, even all the way up to the event. I've had a lot of different cards in here, but this is where I landed on the event, and it's definitely probably the part of the deck that's still got the most room for improvement. But what I went with was 3x on Concentrate. Yeah, they're non-foil ones. Sorry, guys. I'm not that baller. But yeah, Concentrate is just an awesome card. It does a lot in this format right now. That being said, I did not bring it in a ton. I didn't play a lot of matchups where I really needed it, but I can tell you the matchups I did bring it in and I got to use it, it was very impactful. But having that ability to negate another action goes a long way currently in the meta because there's just lots of targets for that. So that's where we started. So 3x there. Then we got 4 Training with Gunhead. This is because I thought for sure we were going to see some throw decks. And I did not see any throw decks. I guess with the prevalence of Faith Shield and Confused and some of the other cards that came out that just kind of stomp on throws, that they just haven't really found a deck and a home in the new format. So probably don't need those. I ran them in the main at one point and I realized I didn't really need them. So we cut them out and put them in the board. And I don't think I brought them in the entire day, to be honest. So probably looking at freeing up those slots here soon. And then that leaves us with our final card, which is Final Exam Failure. So Final Exam Failures is a super cool card. It is one that if I could find some more space in the main board, I would find for this card because it kind of goes even further, like it's just one more tool for us to commit out their board and really set up those kill turns. So what it does is enhance on your attack, and you flip it. And you make your rival make a check against a 6. And if they fail the check, then they have to destroy 1 ready foundation. So you're either, if they check a 3, let's say, they either tap 3 to save their foundations, or they destroy 1. You're kind of cool either way. Like either that's 1 that they're falling behind as far as being able to push in on their next turn, or they're tapping out right now and committing 3, which you're cool with because then this foundation basically had stun 3 on it. That's awesome. So yeah, like this is one that I did bring in some situations. There were some games where I realized my rival was running more high attacks, so I brought it in for the high block and just for maybe the additional commit out. And it definitely was impactful in those games. So overall, I feel good about both of these in the board. Training with Gunhead, again, probably left up more to your local meta. Had hyper compressed weights and things like that in here at one point as well, but ended up deciding to cut those in favor of Training with Gunhead. So yeah, guys, that's the deck. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions or want to know more about the deck or some of the decisions or matchups or anything like that, just let me know down in the comments. If you haven't yet, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Check out our podcast and our website, all at Universes Academy, and follow us on Facebook and all those other places as well, all the social media stuff. But hey, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and y'all have a great day.